Welcome to Module 2, Accommodations versus Modifications in Practice. In this video, we will break down the difference between these two essential supports and how they show up in real-life classroom. By the end of this module, the learners will be able to identify the difference between accommodations and modifications while demonstrating their knowledge of how to effectively implement them for students with diverse needs. I know many of you are thinking, why does this matter? Understanding accommodations and modifications is key to building inclusive classrooms where all students can thrive, especially those with IEP or 504 plans. According to the National Center for Learning Disabilities, when students with disabilities receive appropriate accommodations and modifications, they are more than twice as likely to meet grade-level expectations and demonstrate improved engagement and academic performance. Now let's tackle the difference between accommodations and modifications. An accommodation changes how a student learns by helping them access to the curriculum, while a modification changes what a student is expected to learn that often changes the curriculum. For students in a diverse classroom, accommodations can provide access to learning, change the way students access information, maintain the curriculum or learning standards, assess students on the same standards as peers, and is suitable for students who need support to access the same curriculum. Modifications, on the other hand, often involve altering the curriculum or learning standards, suitable for students who require a different curriculum. Students are assessed on different, often lower standards such as simplified assignments, alternative assessments, and reduced reading levels. Modifications alter the expectations and changes what are learning according to their level. Now it's time for a check for understanding. True or false? Accommodations change how a student accesses or demonstrates learning, while modifications change what a student is expected to learn. If your answer is true, then you are correct. You have now completed Module 2, Accommodations versus Modifications. Thank you for your participation, and I look forward to seeing you in Module 3. Now it is time to put what we have learned into practice with a case study. Mrs. Lee is a third-grade teacher with a class of 22 students. One of her students, Jalen, struggles to complete assignments on time and often appears overwhelmed, particularly during independent reading and writing activities. Despite her efforts, Jalen often forgets directions, misses critical information, and gets off task. He's beginning to withdraw, avoid work, and lose confidence in himself. Although Jalen has an IEP, Mrs. Lee admits she's not always sure how to integrate the accommodations into her whole group lessons without disrupting the flow of class or singling him out. Jalen's IEP contains the following accommodations: chunking assignments, check for understanding, highlight key information, structured reminders, and visual supports. What might seem like a simple task is not so easy in a classroom of 22 students. To make sure the accommodations and modifications are effective in the classroom, a plan must be put in place to make sure all of Jalen's needs are addressed. What would you do? Now is the time to collaborate with your team on ways that you can help Ms. Lee implement the accommodations and modifications for Jalen in her classroom. Please use the link below to access the accommodations and modifications planning checklist to use as your guide. Once you're finished, continue on to Module 3 to learn more about using accommodations and modifications to build inclusive classrooms.